I used to think getting visible abs was all about doing more running, more sessions, more core work. I'd finish a 5K run and spend 20 minutes on YouTube absolutely blasting my core because I thought that's what you had to do. And you know what? I looked exactly the same month after month. Same body, same frustration, no six pack. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why that was, because if you're doing the same thing that I was, then you're wasting your time. So here's what this video is. I'm gonna walk you through the 2 mistakes that I made when trying to get visible abs, and then I'm gonna talk you through the framework that actually worked. Right, mistake number 1, the overtraining trap. And this one is super common because it makes sense, it's logical, right? If you want abs, you should do more ab work, you should train more often. And that's exactly what I did. I'd go out for a 5K run and then I would come home and I'd think, right, time to absolutely beast my abs. So I'd find some sort of abs circuit video on YouTube, and I remember lying down on the floor in my room, just blasting crunches, blasting sit-ups and all these bodyweight ab exercises. And even on the days I went to the actual gym, I'd usually finish my session by doing something similar, throwing in some planks and things like that. I was working hard, like I was genuinely putting in a lot of effort, but nothing was actually changing. And it's because there was no structure to what I was doing. No progressive overload, no plan, no actual program I was following. I was just doing more and more ab exercises, thinking that that was gonna help my abs come on show. And thinking back, I don't know why I didn't realize this sooner, but your abs are just like any other muscle in your body. They need to be worked a few times a week with progressive overload and then allowed enough time to actually recover. In the same way, you wouldn't just go into the gym and blast your chest for 30 minutes doing random body weight exercises and expect to grow a bigger chest. So why do we think that's gonna happen with our abs? But that is essentially exactly what I was doing, and it was a big mistake. And the worst part is the extra ab work that I was doing was actually just adding more and more fatigue onto my body. So then it was having a detrimental effect to almost every other aspect of training that I was doing well. I was under-recovered, I was overtrained, and my body was holding onto fat because it was stressed all the time. The exact opposite of what I wanted. So if more ab work isn't the answer, then what is? And that brings me to mistake number 2. And this is the one that's probably keeping your abs hidden. You've probably heard the phrase, abs are made in the kitchen, right? And it's not wrong. Your nutrition is your biggest factor as to whether your abs are gonna be on show or not. But the way that I interpreted that completely messed me up. I heard abs are made in the kitchen and I just thought, right, I need to eat very, very little. So that's what I did. I absolutely slashed my calories. I probably went from eating around about 3,000 to maybe like 1,800 overnight. Way too low for someone who was training as much as I was. And at first it felt fine. The scale was moving. I was feeling like I was getting leaner. I felt like I actually had more energy on some days, but then it all fell apart. Because what actually happens when you undereat and you're still training hard is your sessions go to absolute shit. You're tired all the time, you're weak, you can feel strength going down in the gym, and then when the weekends come, you're just bloody starving, so you binge out. Takeaways, pints, out for breakfast, out for dinner, whatever it is. Your body is just screaming for food, and it's so hard to get over those cravings when you're massively under eating. And then Monday comes around, you feel shit about it, so you slash the calories back down again. And then the cycle just repeats. I did that for months, maybe even longer, where I would basically just starve myself during the week, overeat on the weekends and feel guilty about it, and then restart again the following Monday. And of course my abs were nowhere to be seen because I wasn't eating in a deficit consistent enough to actually lose any body fat, and at the same time my training just got worse and worse because I was getting more fatigued and not fueling myself appropriately. So the mistake isn't that abs are not made in the kitchen, the mistake is that most people take that too far. Now if you're sitting there and you're thinking, holy shit, that is literally me, whether it's the overtraining, whether it's the starve and binge cycles, or whether it's just a restarting again every Monday, I actually do want to help. So you should start by following me on Instagram because I post a lot of good stuff on there that's going to help day to day. And then you should check out my free 4-week hybrid bodybuilding style training program that is the first link in the description. That will help you train your abs and your whole body with intent so you can build a lean athletic physique. All right, so that is the 2 big mistakes that I used to always make. So now I want to move on to the solution. And to be honest, it kind of annoyed me because it's very, very simple. And I was hoping it was going to be some complicated, complex thing that I had been missing this whole time, but that's understandable because it's quite complicated. Turns out it's just really, really simple. First of all, you need to train your abs like any other muscle. 2, maybe 3 times a week with weight, using progressive overload, tracking your weights, doing more weights or more reps every single week like you would with any other muscle or exercise. Weighted cable crunches, hanging leg raises, ab rollouts, dumbbell side bends, exercises that actually use resistance, not just endless body weight circuits. You want to use these exercises to build up more muscle fibers in your abs and get a stronger core so that when you lose body fat, you've got more pronounced abs on show. And this next one is the one that changed everything for me. Eat little enough to be in a calorie deficit and allow your body to burn fat, but not so little that it has hugely detrimental impacts on your training. I went from about 1,800 calories a day to 2,800 calories a day, and I noticed a huge shift. I was eating more protein to recover from the training I was doing, and I was able to fit more carbs in and around my training sessions so that I got more out of the gym itself. Now, these numbers are obviously just relative to me. They will be different for you and for everyone else, so take that in mind. Honestly, after I made this switch, even just after a few days, I felt so much better. I was training harder. I honestly just felt like I had my mojo back in the gym. I could feel my strength was coming back up, and I was actually excited to get after it again. And the best part is I wasn't starving all of the time. My food focus wasn't so high, which meant the binges just kind of stopped. And this wasn't just because of more discipline or more willpower. It's because across the whole week, I was just fueling far more appropriately. And the final point to remember here is that consistency is more important than intensity. When I went from eating in an extreme deficit and feeling rubbish all the time to actually just eating in a more moderate calorie deficit, then actually enjoying my training, able to fit more of the foods that I like to eat more often into my diet, where my food focus was brought massively down to where it was before, I felt like, you know what, I can actually keep this up over a longer period of time. I didn't feel as though I was having to sacrifice as much. I wasn't having to completely restrict myself from certain things. For sure, I was reducing the amount of certain foods I was eating. I was reducing the amount of alcohol I was drinking at the time, but I didn't have to completely restrict myself from anything. And I knew that if I could just keep this up for the next few months, rather than just really nailing it from Monday to Thursday and then falling off the weekends, then I would start to get my abs on show. And that's exactly what happened. After a month, I could visibly see myself getting leaner. After 2 months, I was like, there's definitely abs coming through. After 3 or 4 months in, I was like, right, they're definitely there. So as long as I just keep this up, I'm gonna be able to keep going. So there was no magic ab exercise, there was no magic diet, there was no magic core YouTube video that I would blast in my room every night. It was very much just a case of eating in a moderate deficit, training hard, and being consistent. Which is pretty bloody boring, but it's the truth. And it's what most people in my industry won't tell you because they want to sell you some bullshit, other sexy outcome package thing that they have. But really, that's all it is. So if I had to boil this whole thing down, this is what it is. You don't need more ab work, you need structured ab work. You don't just need to eat less, you need to eat smart in a way that you'll actually stick to your deficit. Because the people that you see who walk around with abs all year, they're not doing anything crazy, they're not keeping anything secret. They just do this very, very well. They found a system that works for them and they're consistent with it. That is it. And look, I know this is easier said than done. Figuring out what calories to eat, putting together a training plan that's most appropriate for yourself, it's all quite tough. And it can also just be quite a lot of admin on your plate when you've got everything else going on in life. And it's reasons like this is exactly why people hire me as their one-to-one coach. So if you want my help to build you a one-to-one training program, help you nail your nutrition and actually stay consistent and accountable over the course of time, then fill in my inquiry form, which will be linked in the description below. Once I see that come through, I'll send you a message on WhatsApp with all the details of how it works. And if you haven't already, make sure you've dropped me a follow on Instagram because I post loads of useful stuff on there every single day. But for now, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.